All right, well, welcome. My name is Dane, Decoded Propaganda on TikTok and now on YouTube. I have been on TikTok for a couple of years, and it's finally time to make the switch, or at least to expand my horizons. And I also want to do some more long form content. I've had a lot of people telling me that I should be doing this for quite a while, and I've been putting it off, but I'm not putting it off any further. Let's get into something that I found really interesting today about John Lennon and how he had a green card for the United States. And I didn't know this, but he was actually in a multi year battle trying to get his citizenship in the United States. And meanwhile, Nixon was trying to get him kicked out of the country. Why was Nixon trying to get rid of John Lennon, one of the most influential people of the 60s? Because of that very reason, because he was very anti war. And what also happened around that same time was the right for 18-year-olds to vote, because up to that point it was only 21-year-olds, but then the Vietnam War was drafting these 18-year-olds, and all these young people are like, how can we fight for this country and die for this country, but we can't even vote? And so there was this push to get young people the ability to vote because that seems reasonable. Well, there was also a push to stop wars in general, and that was certainly headed by John Lennon, who was very outspoken on the topic. And therefore, they really wanted to get rid of John Lennon. They didn't want him in the United States because he was impacting too many people's perspectives, making them anti war. Why would that be a problem for the US? Well, I was thinking about this and I came to a very obvious conclusion, and that is simply that the military industrial complex does not profit when there's no war. When people are at peace with one another, these technologies cannot be further developed because there's no reason to go invest trillions of dollars into military equipment if there's not a conflict. And so I honestly feel like that is part of what we're dealing with right now in 2026 is there's this forced agenda of expecting everyone to want to be on this war times philosophy because it is profitable. It's extremely profitable for those that produce the weapons. And I don't think there's any better illustration of this than Tony Stark in Iron Man. He is this wealthy military contractor for countries all around the world, enemies, friends, doesn't matter. They're making money. And that was what broke his cycle as he finally realized, hey, I'm contributing to this problem that is this constant global conflict. Now, the other side of that argument is that there are threats above and beyond whatever we understand here in the US or on Earth that we should be prepared for because, some portal might open in the sky and some aliens might come in and attack us, and we need to have the equipment to defend ourselves. But that is a far reaching aspiration when there are much more important things to deal with at home. One of those things is simply food and water. If those things become difficult to source and provide to humanity, then do we really care if there's a potential imminent threat from some alien civilization? I don't think there would be a threat because they wouldn't consider us one, right? I don't know how else to interpret what happened with John Lennon other than that very thing, that he was taken out because he was outspoken about peace. And you also had the whole hippie movement of the late 1960s. You've got Woodstock and all that. Charles Manson, I think, actually was a tool for that whole process as well, because he was doing the psychedelics, he was into that, and then they turned him into the villain that allowed them to justify eliminating all these different medicinal drugs from human consumption because it was too dangerous for humanity. The reality is that the danger does not come from the medicines and the plants, but rather from humans and their desire to conquer and to fight and to destroy. So, anyway, I thought that was really an interesting detail that John Lennon had a green card and he could not become a citizen because Nixon was blocking him from doing it because he did not like the message that John Lennon was spreading of peace.